was taking it out in case you weren't gonna be here for next week.
You gonna do the step next week?
The step
Yeah.
or the reflection?
The step.
I'm doing
She
it.
likes to do the reflection.
I'll show him what I picked.
She went, gave it to the girl.
That's all right.
Don't you like playing this school at once? Yes. Just let us do whatever we
Yeah.
want.
As long as it's because I'm spoiled and not because I'm intimidating, it'll be fine.
Not big enough to be
That's what we'll
intimidating.
tell ourselves.
And I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm intimidating. No, that's.
Well, I'm afraid of you.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm afraid of you.
Bloodline.
Just the bloodline.
Not by that.
Yeah.
So did we get next week's pick?
Yes. Forgiven to forgive.
Okay, I think that's the last one in the book.
Yeah.
Okay, forgiven to forgive.
Yeah.
All right, that'll be next week. Robert, you're doing the step next week, and then Vanessa will be doing the reflection and questions. Well, we are started, just so that everybody knows that we are live on Facebook and YouTube. We're on 5 different channels, but the only thing that goes live is this area up here. Right there's a screen that shows you exactly what it is. So you have to be up here and actually in this area here to do that. And by the way, we had a leaking toilet this week, and they started on fixing it. So that restroom, don't use that toilet that's sitting sideways in there.
Why not?
I mean, it will function up to a limit, but we don't want to have, you get the story, right? But there's another one on back. This one is traditionally the fellas, and the other one is the ladies, and so just so you know. So, all right, if give yourself a couple more seconds to get to the other one. So, all right, and to you, everyone here, welcome. Glad you're here. This is Saturday Night Live Recovery. I'm Doug Wilkerson, and welcome to all of you on the internet, whether you're watching it live right now or on a replay. Saturday Night Live is about life recovery, and that means life is messy, right? There's messiness, and there's oftentimes there's a lot of it. And and our life goes into chaos and disorder, and the reality is, until we're able to start bringing some order into our life, it's very that acerbates the messiness. Would you agree with that, Robert?
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And all that order doesn't always come all at once. In fact, it just takes a while, but then it keeps coming. And as we go through the steps, and we talk about the steps, and we tie it with the scriptures, and hopefully we get more and more orderly in our life, and that transforms us on the inside, which enables us to have recovery. And that's what we're wanting. It's not just about sobriety, even though sobriety is a good thing, but it's about recovery, because I have found, and I believe, that if we have recovery, and that's the change on the inside, we come to that place, we have that enlightenment. We see things differently than we saw them before, and maybe we're a little more willing to see things. We weren't. We talked a lot about that last week, and so that's what we're here for, is to try to help and to bring some order. And it's not just what the information. It's not just the people. It's about the presence of the Holy Spirit to help us, and He's here to help us, whether you believe that or not. You still get the help. So let's get started. Tonight, step 7. And this is our last step 7 for this year. And then next week we'll be going into step 8 because we do the steps according to the months of the year. And so tonight we're going to be doing step 7. We humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Remember, step 6 was about we become willing. And then step 7 is now we have come to the place that we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. And being humble is a significant key, and we'll be talking a lot more about that as we go. Hello there.
Hello there.
Oh, that's Chris. I didn't know that was you, Chris.
Yeah, that's me.
And Chris' friend there. Hello there.
Sarah.
Sarah, hi Sarah. I'm glad you're here. And so, if you have some shortcomings, he's ready to take them if you're willing to let them go. And we're going to be talking about shortcoming tonight. What one are we going to be talking about, Doug? Well, I'll tell you. Giving up control. Anybody ever know anyone that's had a problem with control, or giving up control, or having control, or
Just gotta look in the mirror.
so anyway, I'm not saying, do what, bud?
Or taking back control.
Taking back control. Yes. Well, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about that, John. The two differences. It's on that sheet that I printed out about control. In fact, why don't we just talk about that for a second? The question that I ask is, what's the difference between giving up control, which is in our lesson, and getting self-control, like Galatians 5:22 and 23 talks about, which is the fruit of the Spirit. Does that sound like an interesting question? Well, we'll talk more about that maybe later. Okay, first question. Are you ready? What does giving up control mean? Robert?
Well,
Tommy was slow on the gun there. Chris was borrowed his paper. Go ahead, Robert.
It does not mean become
So we're not going to define what it is. We're going to define what it isn't.
to start with.
That's what of course, I put this paper together, so I knew that, but I thought I'd point that out. Go ahead.
So giving up control does not mean becoming passive, irresponsible, or giving up on life. And in a biblical sense, it does mean surrendering your will to God, trusting that He knows what is best, and allowing Him to shape your character rather than trying to control everything yourself.
What do you think about that, Robert?
Well, that's a long sentence, but it's very powerful because many times we feel like if we give up control, we might as well give up on life. And that's a very bad viewpoint to have. It's destructive and it's not helpful at all. But if we give up control like is meant here, then we realize that there is a power greater than us, and we're talking about God, that knows what's best for us and helps us change on the inside by changing our character. And
I like this. I like their term here, shape us,
shape us. That's good.
which ties in with the
Like a
scripture that we
potter.
have. Yeah, like a partner. That's good. It's good. Did you have anything you wanted to add on that, Tom? Okay. Well, Tommy, what, do you want to read the next part there about step 7?
The Black Recovery says, is that what it is?
Yeah.
We humbly ask him to remove all our shortcomings. This step is impossible without giving up control. As long as we cling to our own ways, our pride or our self-reliance, we leave little room for God to transform us.
Any thoughts on that, Tommy?
Well, it says it right here. It's like potter's clay. Like he come to him broken. He can shape us, reshape us, reform our life, and help us get on our feet and have a foundation.
I think one of the biggest points in Jeremiah 18, 1-6 is that just because you have a flaw in the process, he doesn't throw you away. He just remakes you and works out those flaws. Isn't that great? Isn't that what step 7 is talking about, Robert?
And it's nice to know that the one who created us doesn't just throw us away if there's a flaw. He sees what can be, and he wants to make us the way he intended, if we let him.
Well, can I ask you a question? Well, if you did throw away everyone that has a flaw,
There wouldn't be anybody left.
and he knows our flaws, right?
Yeah.
And he knows what we need. And he knows how to reshape us, not just shape us, but reshape us. And that's what recovery is about.
You know, keeping with the potter thing, I keep thinking like there are 2 ways that you can fix a broken pottery. In Japan, they put gold in it, so they turn the flaws into gold. But if you really, want to break it down, even after pottery's been fired, you can crush it and turn it back into dust and turn it back into moldable clay. So it's never like it can be finished and used, even if you've put, the shellac and stuff on the outside, but the sealer, but you can always break it and turn it back into clay. So
Turn it back into its original dust form. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Jeremiah 18, 1-6 is the potter and the clay. This passage, God tells Jeremiah to visit the potter's house. Jeremiah watched the potter. The potter is shaping the clay vessel. When the vessel becomes a mishap, the potter doesn't throw it away. He reshapes it into something beautiful. And that's a good thing to have. So giving up control means trusting the potter. Okay, now we're talking about in Jeremiah, but we're also talking about God. We're trusting him. And the question is, does he know what we need? Yeah, but can we trust him to give us what we need?
Give us life.
Yes. Chris, you're looking at me funny. Just looking? Oh, okay. You didn't have a thought, evidently.
No, I was listening to what he was saying.
Oh, okay. All right. Clay doesn't tell the potter what to make. Well, we can grasp that, right? The clay doesn't tell the potter what to do with the clay. But a person that wants to be in control sometimes tells God what he can do. I'm thinking. What do you think? Any thoughts on that? By your silence, I understand. Yeah, Matt.
Okay, say we're good with trusting him one day, everything's perfect, we trust him, and then we fail the next, and then we're upset about it. Can we just, I guess, trust again? Forgive and forget, trust again the next day, keep trying?
Is that your question?
Yeah. Yep.
What if you don't? Where's that gonna take you?
Well, back to, I guess, old behavior,
What's in your best interest?
keep trusting.
Do you think God's willing? To
Yeah,
let,
maybe that's the part that I'm, not really focused on, like, well, he's pissed, now he's not gonna try again,
Mm. So you think?
I guess that's just my own thinking that.
Well, it's a common belief, right? Because that's the way we humans think. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Right. And one of the reasons why we do that is because we don't we're not we don't want to be taken advantage of, and we don't want to be hurt. We don't want to be so we make an evaluation and a judgment, and then we operate on that. Everybody in here that has children or grandchildren surely has had a child mess up, right?
Yeah.
Is there anyone in here that's had a child that did not mess up?
I always call them teaching moments or
Well,
learning opportunities.
they are golden opportunities. But you don't necessarily approve of the behavior, but you love them.
Right.
And so he is not, he doesn't give you one and done. And you actually already know that, because you've tested him on that.
Yeah, I do kind of, well, I should know that, but I have evidently taken him out of his place and kind of brought him down to more of a human-like level and need to focus back on,
Well, there's probably a reason why we do that. Not just you, but all of us have done that. And that's because we figure he's going to treat us what we think we deserve. Okay. And how can God forgive me if I don't want to forgive myself, or I can't forgive myself? What do you think about that? Right. But scripturally, he said, if you confess your sins, he's faithful and just to forgive your sins and to cleanse you from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. So he doesn't put a limit on that. And that's the scripture here, the step here about humility. If we humbly ask him, humbly is a significant way. That's how we come to him. Not like that he owes us anything, but that we are respectfully and graciously coming to him and with open hand instead of closed fist.
I saw a video earlier that said that God throws our sins into the sea of forgetfulness, and we are the ones that choose to scuba dive in it and bring it back up for ourselves and for others, because he's not the one who's holding it. Like, he holds nothing against us. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I do honestly believe that we're forgiven long before we ask, him to forgive us.
And I'd like to add one more part to that, Matt, if I'm able to.
Yeah.
Okay. I was asking for permission.
Yeah, go ahead.
And see, what happens here is, we figure, if I can't forgive me, then God can't forgive me, which we've already talked about that. But see, there's a reason why we do that. Have you ever thought about that? Why do I do that to myself?
Yeah,
There's a reason why, right? Because there's always a reason, right?
yeah.
Now, you haven't been here for a while, Matt, but you know, I try to get people to think, right? It's just not what I say, it's what, if we think and we let that come up from inside of us, that spirit would lead us and guide us in all that truth. So there's a reason why. Anybody want to speculate why we do that to ourselves? We judge ourselves harshly?
I know personally, I always judged myself more harshly because I had a fear that I was failing God.
Okay.
Because like I had felt that I had failed my parents. So going back to like, we have a view of God based on the view of humans that we have been around, you know, so, or from our own perception. So I can't even tell you from my parents' point of view that like, they probably don't look at me as a failure anymore. I don't know if they ever did. They probably just was terrified of what I went through and how I was behaving because it was not in my best interest. So I can't say that I was actually a failure in their eyes. That's just my own perception.
Sure.
So,
And there was a reason why we look at ourselves and why you looked at yourself as being a failure. And I'll just go ahead and say it. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Is because we don't want to be a failure. We want to be acceptable, or at least not rejected by others and by God. So actually, it's because we have a good heart. We want to do better and be better. And so we oftentimes use punishment to try to make ourselves better. And how's that worked out for us? I usually get an argument on this, but you know, the pattern that Jesus taught about going ahead and receiving his grace and forgiveness really is what works for us. But we have a hard time getting there, and that's the reason why step 7 here says that we have to come to him humbly, right? You know, the first 6 steps were about you know, internal things here, and then the 7th step here is about processing here and doing something here, and that's the reason why it's encouraging us to be humble, coming to him humble, and allowing him to do something for us that we haven't been able to do for ourselves. That's his job. Our job is to come humbly. It's his job to transform us. Isn't that great news?
That is good.
And what we have to do our best to stop sabotaging ourselves. What do you think about that? So you have a good heart, you have a good intention, you want to be right, but you're using the wrong method to help you. You're using punishment and torture and sabotage to try to make you better. And all that does is make you bitter, right? And if we use grace and forgiveness and the love of God, then we start to have some healing on the inside. And we can start to begin to maybe forgive ourselves and forgive others and heal up little by little. Those splinters in our brain start maybe healing up, you know what I mean? In our heart, you know. And that healing doesn't all come at once, normally. And by the way, I like to say healing is painful. But the only thing worse than suffering healing from pain is suffering from the trauma and the hurt, the anger, you know, the torture. So anyway, kind of got off the path there, but you made me do it.
But that helps.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's what we want to do, is we want to help. So anyway, the rest of this sheet here, and I've run my course plenty, because I remember you telling me, Matthew, I just maybe needed to talk less. And you were right. But I haven't really taken all that advice yet, so. So, I don't know, this one, there's a lot of good stuff on here, and this last one here caught my eye, and it says, God never gives up on the clay. Number 5 on page 1, God never gives up on the clay. He wants to reshape us. He wants to work with us. He is the potter and we are the clay, right? And we need to let the potter do his thing, and our thing is to be willing to let the potter do his thing. Yes, sir.
I think it's important to know too that being human, we're very impatient. If we don't see changes very quickly, we sometimes get discouraged and say, what's the point? But God moves in a time frame that's different than what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So he might change, he's trying to change us on the inside. Our circumstances change after we change.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, because when I always say, if you want your life to be different, all you have to do is change. And that's making that change on the inside. And like you said, we don't normally see our change, but everybody else does. And so that's a great thing. And you know, we just need to let him do that. And step 7 is about here to also to help us understand about not having control. Letting God have control. And that's where it's talking about here is that we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Now you participate in the process, but we have a hard time with it because we think that we need to do it. But how's that worked out for us? But he wants to do it and he will do it. And what he does is he starts shaping you and working with you because you're allowing him to, okay? You're allowing him to, thinking about it, going over the material, coming to a meeting, going to meetings. He is working with you. He's talking to you, whether it's in the meeting or in the middle of the night or whenever. And he begins to lead you. That takes me back to my question last week, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. So anyway, I think we'll stop right there. I'd suggest that you go ahead and look that over because, well, almost everything I got marked on here so that I could, and I got some things on the back here. I said, good. So anyway, it's all good.
I'll add something to give hope maybe to somebody who's not been in it for that long. I've been in it since 2012 in recovery. But there will come a time where the people around you will start validating the change that you might not see yet. And you've questioned it though. Like, is it really happening? There will come a time. Because it's happened with my kids, it's already happened with my parents. And so I just wanted to add that.
And that's true. I try not to give a guarantee. I've seen it happen in a lot of lives. And because when we start to put ourselves moving from disorder into order, we become less chaotic and we can trust ourselves more and other people can trust us. And then you are able to have healthier relationships everywhere. You want to read the steps? Thanks, everybody.
Just standing there.
Yeah, you just did a good job.
Just hanging out. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Tommy.
Step 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our problems and our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and practice these principles in all our affairs. And 7, we're on tonight, is we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Good, good. All right, I'm done. I'm giving up control.
You got him under control. All right.
Huh.
I was just checking. You didn't sound very loud when but you came through on the mic okay. So, yeah, let's go do this. What we do is I ask some questions to start off with, so I start the torturing right off the bat. So, are you willing? Are you more focused on asking God to change your circumstances, or on allowing Him to change your character through your circumstances?
What was the first part of that one again?
Are you more focused on asking God to change your circumstances, or allowing Him to change your character through your circumstances?
Well, I used to be the changing my circumstances was more important to me at the first. But here lately, I asked God to show me what it is that you need me, what I need to learn today.
Good.
And that's the way I've been doing it. And I caught that off of a podcast. I can't remember his name right now, but he said just wake up and ask God, hey, what's your plan for me today, and go by that. That's putting it in His control, not mine. And I try to do that to the best of my ability, but like everybody else, I come short sometimes. But I don't dwell on it.
Good. So why did you pick this topic tonight?
Because like everybody, giving up control is probably the hardest part of recovery we would learn to do, in my opinion.
Why do you think that is?
Because we misinterpret giving up control, what it means. We misunderstand that, and so we think, like we talked about, we're feeling useless if we give up control. And that's not what giving up control is. So that's why I picked it.
So you're saying it's not, giving up control is not being passive.
No, it's not.
If it's not passive, what is it?
It's I can't think of the word right now.
Robert, you wanted to use, I heard you grunt.
I think giving up control in the way that it's meant here is accepting the leadings that God shows us recognizing that he knows what's best for us, and then trying to follow those principles that he's trying to, or the character that he's trying to build in us, you know.
That's good. Anybody else comment? You know, one of my biggest struggles here was that I felt like it was being passive, and then I learned that it was way away from being passive. In fact, it was harder to engage in choosing to align myself with the truth than it was to just defend myself and try to stay in control and try to juggle everything. I'm done. Go ahead.
Giving up control. Step 7, we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Reading out of Jeremiah 18, 1 through 6. Giving up control may be difficult for us.
Is that
Yes.
something you agree with?
Yeah.
Everybody here agree with that? Good. Good. Okay, go ahead.
When we get ready for God to remove our shortcomings, we will still want to control how he does it.
Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Yes, we want it done our way, but we want it done, and his way ain't our way most of the time.
So what do you think all that means?
Well, it means that we want to change, but we want him. We realize he can change us, but we want to do it on our terms, not his. As long as I can keep this, I'll do this.
We want to control what we change.
Right.
Because we don't want to change everything. It's kind of like the guy that I helped turn in a meth lab. He turned in everything that he wanted to turn in. That meant he didn't turn in everything. So, what do you think that means?
Means he's planning to reuse it later on down the line. If I
It's-
still got it, then there's still hope for me later on.
And he did. Go ahead.
We are so used to calling the shots that we ask for God's help for us long as he does it on our terms.
That's what we're talking about, right?
We may demand that the change happens on our timetable or in the order we feel ready to give them up.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, we done talked about it, as long as you do it, I'll give you this, as long as you let me keep this. Basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of making a deal with God,
Yeah.
right?
Hey, I'll do
God,
this
I'll
if
take
you
care
do
of this over here, but you leave this alone, or I'll take care of this over here. And I found out something. He never took the deal.
Yeah.
No, but he's so patient waiting though.
Yeah.
Well, your patience and my patience might look different.
Go ahead.
God doesn't work that way. That is why humility is such an important part of this step.
So, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah. We want God to, if we want to be better and we ask God to do it for us, we just need to, okay, let's do it. He knows what needs to come out. And he knows when it needs to come out. Because if we stop something that we should have stopped before, and we stop something different, then this is going to backfire on us and it could spiral us down even further.
Yeah.
So he knows what to take out and when to take it out. We just need to let him do it. You quit trying to, hey, why'd you take that? Or, hey, that wasn't ready yet.
Well, he won't take it unless we are humble ourselves and allow him to do it. I have a definition of humility here, a biblical definition. So if I read it?
Yeah.
And it is on your sheet. Humility is recognizing your need for God and willingly submitting to His will. I'll read that again. Humility is recognizing your need for God and willingly submitting to His will. What do you think about that? And that ties in with Jeremiah 18, the potter and the clay, and step 7, that we give up our control to God so that He can shape us. The clay, I know clay is an inanimate object, but if the clay is unwilling to stay on the potter's will, then there's nothing he can do, right? And that clay is you and I, and we have to be willing to do that. And that being patient thing that you were just talking about, that's part of being willing to stay in the process or on the wheel.
I always think of it like this: is like He can tell us a million times, don't touch the hot stove. But as little kids, we're going to touch the hot stove and then get burned. But He's going to be there with the Silvadine to put it on the burn. He's not going to shame us. He doesn't do that, but He'll be there to doctor our owie. And that's the way I view God. That's why I'm like, He's still so patient, because that might not be the last time I touch the hot stove either,
And the example, biblical example, is Adam and Eve. He told them what to do, told them what not to do. That's not the way it went. And they ran and hid, and He came looking for them. And he said, Adam, where are you? Of course, He knew where they were, but He needed them to be willing to respond so that He could help, even though they touched the hot stove.
But what I love about that story in the book of Genesis, we always think that when they were kicked out of the garden, that God did not dwell with them in their presence anymore, and that's not true. If you keep reading, God still dwelled with them even outside of the garden. So I've heard it preached so many times that it was the separation between them and God. That wasn't true, because He still came. He came to Cain right before Cain killed Abel. He still talked with them. And
Right.
I think that's beautiful and needs to be mentioned.
And that's true. And no matter, everyone in the entire world, God is speaking to. Now, some people think, well, God only talks to you if you're special, but that's not true. Because all of us here and all of you out on the internet, you've had events that that there was a divine moment. You maybe didn't know it at the time, but you look back and yeah. And there's a lot of them. And sometimes we don't want to think about that because we don't feel like we deserve it or not worthy of it. So we kind of reject ourselves for God. Come on, you was talking about earlier, Matthew. So, anything else?
No, you're doing well tonight.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Go ahead.
God told Jeremiah to go to the potter shop to learn a lesson.
Yeah, another translation says He told Jeremiah to go and that He would speak to him there. Okay, that's not what this translation says, which is okay, but I don't know, something about that He spoke to him, told him to go there so He could speak to him. And something about that seems significant to me. Being willing, because he wouldn't have known what he wouldn't have got the lesson if he wouldn't have went. And so, and that's what we were already kind of talking about, is that God speaks to us, or sometimes we just have this idea, this direction, this knowing, this sense, and if we don't pay attention to it, it usually is to our hurt. Is that not the truth? And so oftentimes we think, well, it's just, it's, you know, it's not God speaking to us. It's something else, you know, I'm psychic or something. And maybe you are, but maybe it's God too. So go ahead.
In Jeremiah 18:3-6, Jeremiah said, I did as he told me, and I found the potter working on his will. But the jar he was making did not turn out as he had hoped. So he crushed it into a lump of clay again and started over. Then the Lord gave me this message. Can I not do to you as the potter has done to his clay? As the clay is in the potter's hands, so are you in my hands.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I haven't personally worked with clay, but I watch videos and stuff, and that looks like it could be very tricky to keep that upright while that wheel's spinning. And myself, I need to be that clay in God's hands because I know He's going to do me good. I've learned that the hard way, and I'm ready to move on about it.
So we can go down the hard road if we choose, right? And that hard road will take us in some really difficult, challenging places. And if we're not careful, it can be institutions. It can even be death, right? So now, of course, this is really speaking to us in a metaphorical way about us and God working with us. So it's taking this story, this metaphor, and helping us to see a picture that we can relate to, right? And so, you know, right there in the scripture, God wanted to give Jeremiah this message. I want you to go look at this. And he saw the picture, and he saw that it wasn't right, but he didn't knock it off and throw it away. He just started remaking it. And it could have been too wet, it could have been too dry, it could have been a flaw in it, or it could have had a piece of dirt in it, you know, and so he had to get it out, get it right, so he can do it. You know, you mess with concrete, you know, and if it's too wet, it can be a problem. If it's too dry, it can be really a big problem. You know, and how it sets up and how it's the durability of the concrete, right?
Yes.
And so, we learn how to work with the substance and to maybe adjust a little bit, or drywall mud, the same principle, you know, and even the flaws that come up in the drywall mud indicates what's going on and why it's going on, and you just have to learn what that means. And God knows what all that means, right? Anybody got any bubbles in your mud? You know. Okay, go ahead.
God told Isaiah in Isaiah 45:9, what sorrow awaits those who argue with the Creator? Does the clay pot ever argue with its maker? Does the clay dispute with the one who shapes it, saying, stop, you're doing it wrong? Does the pot explain how clumsy can you be?
Any thoughts?
Well, for that right there, you know, where do I have the right to argue with God about what He wants to do for me when I ask Him to do it to begin with? Because He wouldn't do it on His own until I ask Him. So that seems a little hypocritical to me. Hey, do this, but I want you to do it this way. I mean, I'm not an arguer anymore. I gave up on that. Didn't get me nowhere.
Anybody else have any thoughts? But it's a common thing that's inside of us, right? Isn't it? I remember one of my most ridiculous stories is that I had a problem going on. I asked God for direction, and He told me what to do. Believe it or not, I told God that wouldn't work. And I was convinced with that, and I stuck with that. That was in the morning early. And at noon, I was still perplexed over this situation. And so I went to McDonald's, believe it or not, and got something to eat. And I got in on the passenger side of my vehicle so that I would be focused, not just keep running. You know what I mean? And I told God, I said, what about this? And it was, I don't know if He said this or I just knew it. I already told you what to do. But that won't work. And then I thought, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Get it out of the way. Prove to Him that it won't work. Then we'll go on. Because I'm stuck. I'm not getting any more information because I was resisting. Okay. I know that sounds strange, but probably you've done stuff just like that, one way or another. And I thought, okay. I thought, well, it won't take long to give it a shot and show that, that won't work. And so I started heading that direction to do it. And it wasn't 20 minutes, I got a phone call and said, it's taken care of. I said, how? It was in a way I wouldn't have ever thought of, but it happened. Apply that story any way that will work for you, but and then I'm surprised. Then I was surprised at my own stupidity, hard-headedness, knowing, why do we do the things we do? It's because we think our thoughts are higher than God's thoughts, right? Right?
Yep.
Hello. Okay. Go ahead.
When we put our lives in God's hands, He will reshape us as He sees fit. And it is our humility that allows us to accept the fact that He is the Creator. Our new life may be similar to the one we left behind or entirely different. God is the master crafter. Whatever He does, we can trust that He will recreate our life beautifully once we get out of His way.
Any thoughts?
Well, if we want better, He's the only one that can get us better. And if we're stopping Him, hey, that ain't going to work for me, I don't want that, then do you really want better? A lot of it, I think, is the first thing we need to get rid of is pride. That's the first thing we need to get rid of. Could be the start of giving up control, is getting rid of pride, because pride does nothing but bring you down.
And that opens up the door to being operating in humility,
Yeah.
being humble, and being open, being open to the possibilities, So, any comments from anybody? So, did you have any other thoughts?
No, I'm good.
So, what did you learn from this lesson tonight?
A lot of it, when I give up control, I need to quit taking it back. Cause like here, it's real easy to take it back. But best interest is for me is just to say, hey, God, and remove it. And I'll go on about my business. And eventually I look back and said, where'd that? He's done moved it. Just let him do it on his time.
Good. And how about what's your takeaway?
My takeaway? Well, I'm still in progress. I'm a lot better than I was a year ago. Better than I was 2 years ago. But I'm not as good as I'm going to be tomorrow.
Good deal. Thank you. Appreciate it. Willie. And Lori.
Hello?
So what were you hoping on learning out of this lesson tonight?
What was I hoping to learn?
Sure. Yeah, it's a new question.
Yeah, it is. I don't ever have a hope of what I'm going to learn. I just come in with an open heart, knowing that God's going to reveal something to me.
Okay. Take on.
Okay. Question 1.
Just so everybody knows, we out of our workbook, there are reflection questions, and so Lori's going to do the reflection and questions, and then I've got a few other questions that I've given to her that actually are on that sheet that I had printed up back here by the offering container. So, all right, go ahead.
Few questions.
Few.
A few. I like your definition of a few. All right, question 1. Have I ever demanded to have circumstances changed for my benefit? Of course. We all have, right? I would assume we all have. And then when? I chose my major health crisis to share. There's been many, but I had a major health crisis. And I was sick for 4 years. Very, very bad sick for 4 years. And I had a lot of people praying heavily, purging God for my healing. And it took 4 years. Much longer than we all thought it should have taken. Much longer, including the doctor. But it did come eventually.
Great.
Yeah. But not. It wasn't easy waiting for it to come. And like I said, it took a lot longer than everyone felt that it should have.
So, you made me think of the question that I asked Willie to start off with
Sure.
about were you more focused on asking God to change your circumstances or on allowing Him to change your character through Real circumstance.
In this case, I was definitely focused on changing the situation. Absolutely. When you're in a health crisis, it's change the situation, change the situation, change the situation. And the situation didn't change right away, or right away, or right away. And eventually it did change. And then when it was over, I realized that through that process, I had changed. And I had grown because I had waited and prayed and pled with God and spent time with God and in despair and just with God. And when that healing did come, I was able to see a new me through that.
Good. Well, I was trying to wring that out a little bit there.
Did you get what you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I need to emphasize it was a really long illness. Have I ever become impatient with God's timing? Yes. Have you?
I just told about it.
And the process of changing my heart and character, not just joy. Absolutely. Change is a long, hard, tiring process. And often you don't realize that change has happened until you're tested.
Right.
And then that test comes and you ace the test and you're like, where did that come from? I didn't know I had that in me. And it's like you can be shocked at yourself because you didn't know you had it in you. And God says, look what I did for you, to you during this time, and you didn't even know it. I think I said not too long ago, the phrase goes, God's going to give you what you need for the situation, but he's not going to give it to you until you need it, right? I think I said that before, not always.
Sounds familiar.
And that's kind of this, you can be growing and changing, but it can happen so slowly. You might not realize it until that test comes and you're like, oh, I did change. I did grow. You just don't know it because you don't see it until you see it.
And that's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's really awesome when that happens.
It's great. Any comments from anyone? Okay.
Stellar lively audience. What keeps me from letting go so that God can shape my life better than I could ever imagine or create myself? Good question. I want to believe and I hope that at this point that nothing is holding me back from letting go. And if there were, someone would help me realize it and see it. And I would be humble enough and mature enough in myself and my growth that I would accept it and be able to work on it and not view it as offensive or stumbling block, that I would be able to see it. And that if when God shows me something, that I'm able to see it and not just and kick it out, or shut the door on it. So I'm sure there are things, because everyone has things. I'm still early enough in the program that there are things. So as God brings them to me, I am very willing to address it and work on it.
I tell people all the time, as likable as I am, people are going to get mad at me. And I say all the time, you're going to get mad at me somewhere, sometime, about something. And I've had people say, oh, that'll never happen. And then when it happens, I remind them that they said that at the most appropriate time, of course. But this is part of the process. It is the test to see where we're at, and we are able to do that, and to kind of figure out, whether I don't normally try to make people angry, but sometimes it happens, right? So
Not everyone can like you all the time.
yeah, that's true.
And,
I don't even like me all the time, So.
If they're getting angry at you, are they getting angry at you, or are they getting angry at themselves and taking it out on you?
That would be an interesting thing to look at, wouldn't it?
It would be.
So.
It would be. All right, more discussion questions. What area of my life is the hardest for me to surrender to God? I would go along with the theme of tonight, and that's control. Control is a good one.
Now, when she reads these questions, you need to be looking at your own stuff, not just her stuff, right? Go ahead.
Control is a big one for me. Why do I think giving up control can feel frightening? Because it is. Who likes to? Who wants to be the passenger princess other than just me? I am a good driver. I am. But I hate to drive. Passenger princess is my spot in the car. Okay? It just is. But if you're used to being the driver at all times, and then suddenly you're forced to sit in the passenger seat, it's probably uncomfortable. I mean, ask him. I don't think Will's ever ridden with me being the driver. I really don't. And if he were to suddenly be put in the passenger princess position, that would probably be a very uncomfortable position for him, because it's not a position he's used to. Giving up control is very uncomfortable. It is. Everyone knows that. It's just, you're not in control. Someone
Yeah,
else
the
is.
question-
You're the puppet.
The discussion question here is why?
You're not in control. You have no control. You have no say. It's out of your hands. Anything can happen at any time.
That's true.
And
yeah.
you're tied. You can't do anything. You're having to trust someone else at all times for all things. And they might do something you don't like. Or make you do something you don't like. And it's scary and it's frightening. And it's uncomfortable.
Okay, let's go on.
What defective character do I keep trying to manage instead of surrendering to God, giving up control? And that's a big one for me. I'm working on it. uh, how does the image of the potter and the clay encourage me rather than discourage me? Because God's always working. God's always working um, to make something beautiful and useful out of the mess that I've made, to reconstruct something that that whatever I do, God's got my back. He's not going to let me fall off the wheel and smush myself. He's going to catch me and hold me softly and gently and reshape me and make me useful again. I might not be a pretty picture. I might be a bowl to hold keys. But I'm still going to be useful and pretty as long as I trust and let God do his thing and I don't get in his way.
Good deal.
Have I ever seen God reshape a painful situation into something that strengthened my character? Yes, 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 yes. I am standing here because of a painful situation that God has strengthened and reshaped my character because of. So yes, and I've had many painful situations that God has strengthened my character through.
Any comments from anybody on that reflection? Okay, go ahead.
What would it look like if this week to let God be the potter instead of trying to mold my own life? I'm gonna let someone else take that one because I'm having a hard time.
Repeat it.
Yeah, read it again, please. It's
What
number
would
6 on the sheet. Go ahead.
what would it look like this week to let God be the potter instead of trying to mold your own life?
What would it look like?
I'm gonna be less messy.
Okay, good. Anything else?
Help me make better decisions.
Good. Anything else?
It would, I'd grow if I went with God, him to shape the week instead of me taking over and having the wheel.
Good. Matt had his hand up.
I rest more assured knowing that he is working in my life, you know, and of course I want something done yesterday, especially if I work at it, you know. And he is working in my life, you know, and I should just trust. And like you said in the beginning, you know, I was more focused on the outcome that I wanted instead of focused on him working on me, I guess. And should probably just focus on him more, you know. And I've seen, you know, a lot of progress. And so rest assured, you know, I should just let him do his job the way he does it and keep trying, you know.
Good.
Yeah, I rest more assured, you know. I don't know why I was kind of bringing him down to a lower level, you know. And, you know, just the reassurance that, you know, he is loving and he's not going to be like, okay, you failed that time and toss me out. So, yeah, last time I learned not to get mad about it, you know, and feel like a failure, just like, okay, I'll take it as forgiveness and go to bed with a smile. And then, got some more good answers today, so. I'm just gonna relax, like the recovery says, just take it easy, so. Still gonna work, but I'm gonna more, take it easy on myself and let him do his job, his time, so.
Awesome.
I think for me, like it baffled me too, Lori. Like, and because I understand what you're saying, but what I was thinking about was like I don't necessarily, and I don't know if I can bring myself into like fully believing in passivity. And I don't know, that could be a big difference between how men are created and women are created too. We are busybodies, period. Like, as just as women, we are. Like, we have to stay busy all the time. And it might not be like that we have to, or we feel like, especially if we've raised children, we just always have something to do. And so I look at it as like, since I am a mother, like I am a co-creator with God. And so, but there's always something to do, and so that's actively me working with him. Yes, I sleep better. Yes, I have more sound sleep. Yes, I have been able to regulate my nervous system since my children have moved out, and I've been able to heal a lot more stuff with doing that. But for him, I don't know. Like, I still have a hard time grasping just letting him. I guess I have had more times where I have been more passive. Like, I've had to look at examples being like, before I used to go to the gym so that I could be strong enough to like whoop a man if he ever tried anything. I'll just be honest. Now I have allowed myself to not spend as much time in the gym because I'm not so angry anymore. And I don't have the desire to whoop a man if he tried. So, I've had to adjust my intentions with the gym and do different workouts to where I'm not just there working through my aggression. It's me there, like just taking care of my body now. And then that's just an example. And so that's how I see myself as like co-creating with God, is like having to set down, like I've gone through the inner childhood healing, I've been doing shadow work and stuff like that, and just figuring out like what are my motives and intentions and stuff, and like not. And so like I know you say that the clay doesn't tell the potter how to do his job, but the clay
No,
does
wait. That,
work with the
I don't-
potter too.
I didn't say that.
Well, I
This
thought that-
this clay has told God he didn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
And that didn't work. I found out that he did know what he was talking about.
right.
So, that's what the scripture was indicating. So I just want to be sure that we got that.
But like if you are like working with clay too, like the clay has to be in a malleable form
Sure.
too, and so there is some kind of like co-working, even though like the clay doesn't speak, but and I don't know.
It has to yield itself.
It does, but it also has to cooperate
Mhm.
too, and stand up tall and not fall over and all that stuff. So I don't know. I have a really hard time of like, maybe it's just my idea or thoughts of what the word surrender means, because surrender to me is passivity, and maybe I'm wrong for that definition of surrender. So I don't know. Maybe that's a learning.
I think, it's, as we become aware, of what we're thinking, it helps us to, work on what we're thinking, adjust if we need to adjust.
Thank you.
So, good, thank you. Did somebody else have their net, Robert?
I think sometimes we just need to, if we're really serious about letting go of our control, we need to take it down to this very simple level. So when we start our day, say a quick prayer to God and say, God, please help me be more mindful of you in everything I do. And then throughout the day, just try to think back about that prayer and say, am I really trying to be mindful of letting God have control? So it's something that we don't just expect to happen. So we're not necessarily passive about it. We're actively trying to bring the idea as part of us by constantly reminding ourselves that we're trying to let God take control. So I need to remind myself of that many times throughout the day.
It's good. Kind of practicing what you want instead of practicing what you don't want.
Yeah.
Good. Was there somebody else that had their hand up? Sean, did you have your hand up? Okay, okay. Anything else? Well, he didn't say anything.
I said enough earlier.
Okay. Go ahead.
What fears keep you from fully trusting God to reshape your life? For me, at this point in my life, some of these questions just aren't fair or maybe even helpful to anybody else, because God has transformed my life so many times that I know He can, because He has, and I know He will because He has, and each time gets better and better. So my fears are not trusting God to reshape my life, because I know He can, I know He will, and I know it will be great. So I don't really know why I fear that, other than just the fact that it gets uncomfortable at times.
So you are saying that there is a fear there.
At times, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't always know why, other than it's just there, because it's uncomfortable and an uncomfortable situation, something new, a new stage in my life that I haven't been there before. And because it's growth, and growth is, painful.
Mhm.
But those bursts of fear are only momentary, because I give it back to God, because I know what He's gonna do is far greater than whatever silly fear is lurking around in my head or my heart for whatever reason. Like you said, you didn't know why you kept saying that's stupid, that's not gonna work. I don't know why I would say I don't want to give that over to God. I don't know why I'm scared. It's just,
Well, that's some of the purpose of the questions is to help us discover things that we're
Yeah.
not fully aware of.
yeah. I mean, you're the professional. Why do we do that? It's just,
Well, it's because we hide stuff from ourselves.
yeah. Even though, God restored me to full health when I shouldn't have been. God saved me from a terrible situation and restored me over and over again. I know He can, because He has. He will again. I've seen it in other people, but still, when you come to that crossroads, you pause and you hesitate and you question, was that really God's voice? Do I really want to go there?
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll go away with age and maturity, and as my relationship with Christ goes. I hope it does.
That would be great. But I'm just running through my mind here of the disciples, the apostles, all the different Bible references that, it's we will get better. Okay. We're working on recovery and transformation, but that doesn't mean that we're going to ever, it's not about perfection, it's about
And-
progress.
And we're
we're
not
never gonna get there.
supposed to have perfection.
And I think that is so very true. Because if we did, then we wouldn't need to, we wouldn't need God.
No.
We would need a relationship.
And we need a reason to have.
And then we're trying to be God.
Right.
So, does anybody have any comments on number 7? Number 8. Go ahead.
And the final one. How can humility help you cooperate with God's work of removing your shortcomings? I don't remember the exact terminology of the definition of humility, but being humble in God's sight, keeping yourself open to do what God asks. So, God wants to work in you and remove your shortcomings. Like I said, God shows me my shortcomings, and I said, my desire is to be willing to accept that and see that for what it is and not put up a fence and get defensive about that and argue with him. So my part is to accept that and see that and work towards addressing that. That's how humility comes in, I believe. Instead of getting defensive and no, that's not me, that's not me. No, that would be the pride. The humility is accepting it, seeing the defect that maybe someone else has pointed out or God has shown you, and seeing it and accepting it and saying, okay, yeah, I see that. I need to work on that. God, help me, show me how you can help me with this. That's the humility aspect from my perspective of that, instead of arguing with God. No, that's not right. Which
Yeah.
we've all done before. I'm
So,
sure.
what did you learn from this lesson?
I'm still a hot mess with lots of work to do.
And what's your takeaway?
I'm worth the work.
Say it again.
I'm worth the work.
That's good. That's good. Thank you, Lord. Appreciate that. So, should I not have that many discussion questions?
Why not?
I'm just asking.
We're on time.
We're on time. We are. And I wanted to share. What'd you say?
I said, come on, limit it to 2 or 3. I'm kidding. Whatever's.
I didn't select it. That's just what came up. So I just like I told.
all.
And like I told you, I told Lori, I said, you can do as many as you want. You don't have to do them all, but you can.
Do you send us the questions in advance, or is it like hotspot questioning?
No, I will send you the questions.
Okay.
I got them in advance.
Okay.
So I got down here the Serenity Prayer, which we're all familiar with, but I wanted to read that in our close here. And God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yes.
That's a very powerful prayer when we really stop to think about what it's saying.
Yes.
Sometimes we just say it from memory because we memorized it. but it's really beneficial to think about it as you're saying it.
You bet. You bet. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you his peace.
Amen.
And make healthy choices. Next week, we're gonna, Robert's gonna be doing the step, forgiven to forgive, Matthew 18, 23 through 35, and Vanessa will be doing all the reflection questions.
All 20